ready for a lot of chopping with this salad, and everything is gonna be pretty small in size because with each mouthful you want to be able to taste all the vegetables that are in there. So with this cucumber, I'm gonna start slicing it from the long end just like that. So when I cut it horizontally, every little piece is a small itty bitty one. Alright, so here I'm just gonna divide it in two to make the chopping process a little bit easier. Now these larger, longer cucumbers work perfectly well, but so do the Persian smaller ones. It really doesn't matter, and you don't need to peel them. The green peppers, not everyone loves them, and so I try to keep it really fine. Here I'm just quickly showing you a demo. I like to cut them very thin so they're not very noticeable. And just like that, we're gonna add that to our salad bowl as well. Next we have green onions, and I don't like to waste, so just trim very little off the end just to get the roots out of the way. But we're gonna include the entire thing in the salad, so that means the white part and the green part. And here we're gonna go very, very thin, so as thin as you can. You don't want somebody to take a bite and have a big chunk of onion in their mouth, so try to get that as fine as possible without hurting yourself. All right, now this is gonna go into our batch. Some red onion. Again, think about your guests, and not everyone will like big chunks of the raw onions, and the theme with this salad is that everything is going to be teeny tiny, but we just need a little bit of red onion. So we're going to take this small quarter piece, peel it, and very similar method to how we sliced the green pepper. We're just going to give it a few slices down this way. And then give it a nice fine dice. Here you go. Now you see everything that we've chopped up. The ratio is really up to you. Now with parsley, I love using the ends. It has a lot of vitamins and nutrients. And notice how I'm bunching it up. This is the best way that I find to do it. And I'm just gonna give it a rough chop at first. Doesn't need to be perfect. Don't worry about the straggler ends over there. Now put it all together and chop it up just like this. Make sure that your left hand, if you're right-handed, is nice and stable, and just keep on going back and forth until it is nicely minced, just like this. And I'm gonna dump all of this onto the other vegetables that we've already chopped up. Here we are. And now some dill. Now dill is very strong in flavor, so it's about maybe a third of the quantity that we had for the parsley. Same method, bunch it up and mince it very finely. With all of your herbs, you want to make sure that they are 100% dry, so wash them a few hours before, let them air dry, and that way it won't stick to the blade and everything will be combined in your bowl really nicely. For the mint, we do want to remove the stems, so make sure that you pick all of your leaves, discard any of them that look on the dark side. We don't want to put anything bitter in there. In terms of quantity, it's all based on preference, so I'll give you some general quantities in the description box down below, but kind of use your intuition, and if you love mint, you can add a little bit more of that. If you're not a big fan of parsley, you can put less of that and maybe a little bit more of green peppers. Kind of adjust the recipe based on the flavors that you enjoy. But you definitely want all of these components together. So now that I have all my veggies and herbs in the bowl, I'm gonna start on my lettuce. And I like to use romaine lettuce. I've washed these, kept them out to dry for a bit. And I like to layer them up just to be a little bit more efficient. Cutting them down the middle, and these are the outer layer leaves, so they are a bit larger, so I'm slicing them down a few more times. I'm just gonna bunch them up and cut them in a way that will give me some thin, semi-long, not too long of ribbons. So it's not ribbons that are as long as the ones that are in the Big Macs. It's a little bit shorter. But I'm gonna repeat this process until I finish one whole head of lettuce. But since they're so small, they will blend in really nicely with the rest of your salad. These are radishes, and I'm trimming off the ends, and I've also peeled a little bit of it just because the red part, I don't want so much of it in there. So I find that slicing it this way is a nice way to give your salad a little bit of a crunch, but notice that I'm slicing it very, very thin. You don't want big chunks of this in the salad, so try to keep it as thin as possible. And I'm gently tossing it. This is the point where you wanna see which vegetable you feel like you're missing a little bit of, or if you wanted to add something that you think needs to stand out a little bit more. And this is the perfect time where you can refrigerate this part. If you're having a party, you can prep all of this in advance, and that would be without the tomatoes, without the dressing. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna prepare my tomatoes and set them aside and put them in the fridge, and once I'm ready to serve, I will put them all together. So notice here I'm trimming off the edges and I'm scraping out the seeds and the pulp. This is the part that usually makes salads soggy, and we don't want that in there. So make sure that you're scraping out those seeds, taking everything out, but don't throw them away. I usually put it in a glass Tupperware and put it aside, and I later put it in some Yemeni Salad, which is a salsa, or in cushion based recipes, so anything that is, you know, stewed with tomatoes, they'll come in handy. So just don't discard them, just don't put them in the salad. And I'm gonna slice these down and create small diced pieces. And again, the quantity of the tomatoes just depends on your liking. For me, I did about 4 plum tomatoes. For the dressing, this is about a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. And the olive oil is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tablespoons of olive oil. Some cumin, about a teaspoon. Lemon juice, put a lemon and a half of lemon juice, and don't worry, all this will be in the description box below. Some salt and pepper. I like using fresh ground pepper. You'll be surprised, it makes a big difference in salad dressings. Same thing with the salt. And I'm just gonna combine all of that, but especially with the dressing, you always want to make sure that you don't just rely on a recipe. Make sure you taste it and see what needs some adjusting. In this case, I realized that the lemon that I used was pretty big and it was very lemony, so I'm gonna add some more olive oil to take some of that strong flavor away, and I think at this point it was perfect. Now, it's a few hours later, I'm combining the tomatoes since I'm ready to serve, tossing that gently just to make sure everything is very well incorporated. And now adding my dressing. This is great for picnics too. You can have all these pieces together in different Tupperwares and then just throw everything together once you're ready to enjoy. So again, just tossing this, and make sure you taste the salad at this point. You may be missing some salt because of the veggies. If you feel like it needs some more oil, some more cumin, you should always taste and adjust.